My Left Foot, the story of Christy Brown, 1989 film based on a biography of the real Christy Brown. In the film, he is played by Daniel Day-Lewis, who won his first Oscar for the performance. Christy Brown was a man born in the 1930s into a poor Irish family with cerebral palsy. I mean, him, not the family, obviously. Now, back then, the doctors didn't really foresee much of a life for him, much of a future, and his early childhood is presented as mainly lying around, being unable to move too much or talk. Christie was even considered intellectually stunted by the people around him until he learned to write using his left foot, and then he also learned to speak somewhat. He also learned to paint, again using his left foot. And through that, and with the never stopping help of his family, he managed to kind of force his way to a relatively normal life. So the main reason you go back to watch this film now would be Daniel Day-Lewis's performance. I think it does deserve praise, and I have to say, in the first couple of scenes, I thought he was overdoing it and being almost a caricature. But as the film went on, I was more and more impressed with him. Actually, I think it really sells the character, and especially that stunted physicality and stunted speech, to the point that it really is kind of uncomfortable to watch it. There is that effect that people, certainly I have that effect sometimes, um, around disabled people in real life, where you don't know how to act, how to react, how to behave. I think having that feeling through the screen is an indication of Day-Lewis' skill. Then there's also all the stories about how he refused to go out of character during the filming of the movie and kind of required to be carried around the set, etc. But apart from just Day-Lewis, I think that the supporting roles in the film are equally great. I particularly enjoyed Christie's parents. Brenda Fricker even won the Oscar for her performance of the mother. I really believe that the role of Christie couldn't have existed in a vacuum. You need believable characters around him to create and inhabit that world and give us the background for his story, for the film to work. And I think that's done quite well. And so My Left Foot becomes this story that's partly tragic, partly comic, partly sombering, and partly heartwarming as well. A story about disability and living with disability, and maybe even more so, how having that impacts people's treatment of you, what you become in their eyes, and how they respond to you, what you can expect from them. There's a great line from Christie's mom at one point referencing the fact that he's falling in love with a woman, that he's got too much hope in him. And it's just so tragic because she knows that hope is most likely futile for him, that he's kind of convicted to be who he is in life and has hurdles in his life that he cannot get over. It is a pretty difficult film to watch, definitely not a fun and smooth breeze, but at the end of the day, I think it manages to be hopeful in the face of adversity. Despite all the depressing elements it contains, it doesn't leave you depressed at the end, which is a feat. Overall, very solid film, but be aware it can get quite heavy.